Hi everyone. I have made my way through No Man's Mistress by Mary Balogh, the second one in the Mistress trilogy, and I enjoyed this book, though enjoying might be the wrong word to use, as you shall see in the spoiler section ahead. I will try to keep it brief as several ideas repeat from other stories of hers, and I feel like I am becoming a bit repetitive. The story picks up a few years after the last book. It follows Ferdinand, who is more than Mistress's Jocelyn's brother, and Viola, someone with a troubled past. He is a man who loves a good challenge, that is, foolishly loves a good challenge, and she has found herself at the hands of a criminal who turned her into an exclusive high-end courtesan. Ferdinand wins a card game against this man, and as payment he receives a property that belongs to Viola. He goes to claim the prize and finds her already living there. And the entire dynamic that they develop in that situation defines the rest of the story. If I understood it correctly, No Man's Mistress was a story about courage and victory, or maybe more about contests, really. Viola had worked and sacrificed much to be where she was. The property that Ferdinand came to claim was the light at the end of the hellish tunnel that she had been in for years. As such, she fought relentlessly to take it off of Ferdinand's hands. She was so determined to win that she did not spare any resource, manipulation, lying and scheming, and even at the end, reducing herself to her old courtesan persona in order to win the property back from him. Ferdinand was the other end of that same condition. He simply liked a challenge because he enjoyed winning and beating others. His whole identity was based on being victorious. There's some hilarity as these two are poised against one another, but the funny setups start to become frustrating and then plain shocking and sad as they become harsh and hurtful. And that is the basis of the story. This story made me think of picking and choosing your own battles, about this obsession we have with being victorious all the time, so much so that we'd sacrifice ourselves in the process. And this touches on several aspects of our psyche, I think. Cognitive dissonance could also be described simply as ourselves refusing to lose, refusing to admit that we're wrong, that this infantile need to be correct or vindicated or victorious is only that, a self-centered instinctive need that actually gets in the way of real growth and real progress, and as such, real gain. The things we keep forever in our souls are rarely the victories, however large, we had over others. So it made me think about the value of losing, of humble retreat, of conceding defeat, not by default, but as a conscious act of choosing against it, or perhaps put another way, of doing what it doesn't like. It being our unconscious and automatic need to win, whatever that may mean in everyone's specific context. And it wasn't until Ferdinand was willing to lose, consciously that is, that he didn't find the real way towards the solution of his issues, and the best way, at the same time, to help Viola overcome her own need for victory. Now, there is the other aspect of it, which could be perhaps described as faithful determination, and it is superficially similar, maybe, but very different to the instinctive drive to be victorious. There is a difference between aiming for a goal with faith and some abandon, and being obsessed with winning. At the end, Ferdinand was simply aiming at being successful and losing in the most gracious way possible, if that makes sense. He was determined to get Viola everything he had realized she deserved. Not just the property, but her freedom, the admiration of everyone who could have never made such a sacrifice as she had for her family, and the love that she had felt and given to others, but never quite received in her own life. Ferdinand sacrificed himself in the name of becoming someone who was worthy of such an honorable woman as Viola. Now, Viola went through her own trials. She had gotten so used to dealing with life on her own that she became arrogant and despondent, capable of hurting others deeply, distrustful and almost entirely self-reliant. She was ultimately an admirable woman, yes, but there is also the fact that we can become enamored of our own greatness and self-reliance to the point of losing touch with others and becoming arrogant and despondent. Her biggest trial, which I am not sure if she ever overcame, was trust. She was afraid of judgment, of scorn, and condemnation, so much so that she would go out of her way to not ask for help from anyone. It's as if she was obsessed with never asking for a favor, so she never owed anyone anything. And that was the shape her obsession took. Most, if not all, of her issues would have been resolved if she had learned to lose, to trust, to be honest with someone else, to ask and accept help, but she could not. So this novel made me think of that, defeat, and how distasteful it sounds to even consider it. We must be winners at all costs. But winning, or this obsession with winning, is what is at the core of our egos, and that tends to blind us most of the time. Defeat, or strategic defeat, not one by default created by weakness or lack of boundaries, can be one of the keys of working on ourselves. But like Ferdinand, that doesn't mean throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Defeat doesn't mean becoming fragile. It doesn't mean sacrificing one's capacity for determination and tenacity. It's quite the opposite. It's using all that resilience for a conscious goal. If we were as obsessed with truth as we are with victory, imagine the world we would all live in. Imagine if we were able to escape toxic and draining dynamics by simply conceding defeat. If being winners wasn't such a huge part of our identity, and I don't mean to turn ourselves into losers, no, but rather into warriors or into gentlemen who are self-aware to the point of knowing when it's appropriate to engage or to push on or to retreat. It's like Jordan Peterson would say, someone capable of sacrificing the immediate gratification of a small victory today for the larger one tomorrow. And so those are my thoughts on this one. Defeat and victory. Sometimes losing is the best way to win ourselves back. I thank you guys for watching this video. I will be moving on to the next one in the series, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.